special cars, rare bikes and airplanes. This is what drives me. I'm Philip and I'm the Driven Aviator. Welcome to my channel. Hi guys, welcome to Driven Aviator channel. I'm Philip and today I'm gonna show you how to start up a Yak 52. Let's go. Alright, so here we are. Before starting a Yak 52, the most important thing, because this is a radial engine, is to drain the oil out of the cylinder on the bottom. So, before we're gonna do that, of course, we need to check that the max are off. So, second cabin max are off, and first cabin max are off. So, what we are gonna do now is to turn the prop 16 blades, which is kind of exhausting. 1, 2, and you will see the oil coming out of the oil drain and of course of the exhaust of both out of both exhausts. And yeah, this prevents the whole engine from hydraulic lock. Hydraulic lock is when some oil is remaining in the lower cylinders and you start the engine. You know, it's a fluid and the fluid is not compressible. So you can have some serious damage on your engine and you don't want to have that in flight. So it's really, really important to drain the oil out of your engine before you start. And this is probably the most or the biggest difference compared to normal engines like you may know from a Cessna or anything else with the Lycoming or the Continental engines, where you just push the starter and the engine goes. So it's a bit different in here. So the oil is drained, hopefully. As you can hear from my breathing, I turned the prop 16 blades. Yeah, what's next? We're gonna take her out so we have a bit more light and can do the pre-flight checks. Oh my God, she's heavy. At first, we're gonna save my dog, Quizo. Hop. Come on. And then we take this beautiful formation. Have I told you that I love this side? I love the side of an off-road mobile in front of a Warbird. Couldn't get any better. So hopefully we don't want to scrape or clip any wing. That looks good. So this Land Rover Discovery is a pretty universal tool. You can use at an airfield like this, where it's simply nothing. So it helps me getting some fuel. It helps me pulling the planes, and in general it helps me with a lot of stuff. All right, there we are. So we're gonna park this thing. And then we're ready for rock and roll. Isn't it some kind of beauty? I mean, I got this plane 2 years ago and I'm still so in love with it because it's so freaking beautiful. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. So, taking the tow bar off because no plane likes starting with a tow bar attached on it. Oh, after we brought back the tow bar, we're gonna remove those oil cans from the exhaust because we don't need them anymore. You see, there's plenty of oil in it, or not plenty, but just a little. Here's the second one. Usually there would be a third one here at the drain valve, which we're closing right now because the engine is running pretty rough with that one open. Unfortunately, I already experienced that. Yeah. So finally, we're ready to pre-flight this aircraft. Pre-flight is, yeah, pretty much the same as you would pre-flight any of those single-engine piston aircraft. So I always start with removing this pitot cover, checking the pitot tube, checking the stall indicator, checking my leading edge of the wing, checking my landing gear, which is a pretty robust and tough one, to be honest. So yeah, that looks good. What about that one? Everything looks fine, no fluids. That looks good. I like that. Sometimes, or yeah, most of the times, I'm just have a sneak peek inside, but you can see, I mean, this engine was rebuilt 100 hours ago, so it's pretty much like new. And even though they only have a TBO of 500 hours, yeah, this is one of the better with an AF engines I've seen on some yachts. So, checking the prop. Seems to be good and tight. You know, this is a geared engine, so you don't want to have too much of movement in the prop, but this is totally fine. Checking the landing gear and the front tire from the other side. Everything looks good. Another sneak peek on the right side. Yeah, dry and everything as it should be. So, few cabs are closed. This landing gear is totally fine too. Looks good. Our leading edge. Checking our flaps and the attachment, which looks good too. There are 3 attachment points on each side. By the way, those little things are pretty useful when you lose some indicator lights of your landing gear, because when they pop out, and you have 3 of them, when they pop out, your landing gear is up, and when they're in, your landing gear is down. So it's a pretty redundant and fail-safe system, and I absolutely love it in case you have an electrical failure or something like that. So this looks good. No noises, smooth movement. This is how it should be. Same with this one. Absolutely great. I mean, 100 hours ago, they don't just rebuild the engine, they rebuild the whole plane. So that's the reason why this plane is looking like it's coming from the factory right now. There it is, good. And the last attachment point. All right, everything's good. Let's go flying. So, before we enter the first cabin, one of those things you want to make sure is that in the second cabin the belts are strapped together. You put the second cabin max to 1+2. You have a first cabin ignition up, you have neutral on the landing gear and neutral on the flaps. And afterwards, just gonna close that one. What do you think about this sticker? So, that is closed. So we can enter here. I prefer my checklist in a written form. So, rear max 1+2, rear canopy closed. Then we have the starting engine checklist. So the first thing we're gonna do is to open the air supply. As you can hear. This is pretty important because this air supply powers yeah, more or less everything in this aircraft. So the landing gear is working with this high pressure air. The starter is working with this one. The flaps are working with this one. So yeah, more or less, without air, this airplane is not gonna fly and not gonna start at all. All right, so this is the brakes. As you can hear, they are pneumatic as well. Master switch, generator and ignition. Then you have some engine instruments which should come up, and they are coming up. And you have the landing gear indicator. All right. So the throttle should be open roughly about 1/3. The prop in the fine position. Then you have some annunciator light test. As you may see, all lights are working properly. I love that. So, the carb heat is off. The fire valve is closed. The shutters are for controlling the airflow in front of the engine. So they need to be open. We have to move them full forward. This one's for the oil and this one's for the cowling on front. All right, so final thing is the primer. You can see the primer here. This primer puts some fuel at first in the manifold. As you can see, we have fuel pressure here. Then you move it to the right, and then you prime some fuel into the cylinders. 3, 4, and 5. Afterwards, you put it back to neutral and lock it. So, this is our engine start button. This is our max. What I will gonna do now is turn the engine with the start button, wait for some few RPMs, and then I'm putting the max to 1+2, and she should be running smoothly and showing some oil pressure. All right, let's go.
Alright, here we are back again in the cabin. Engine is running smoothly and good. Should be somewhere between 40 and 50% power. You close those shutters again so she gets warmer. You have the cylinder head temperature here and you have the oil temperature here. So we don't want to forget to buckle up. And because this plane has those hookah harnesses, it takes quite a lot of time to buckle up, but you're absolutely strapped in your seat like you should be. Alrighty, so temperatures and pressures are good. She's still a little cold, but it's not too cold today, so should be fine in a few minutes. So we can already taxi to the runway. As you can see, I'm using differential braking. So if you're coming from Cessna 172, which was my flight school plane, this is kind of difficult to get used to it, but once you're in it, it's totally easy. So when you're standing on both waters and pull the brake handle, it just brakes you down. When you're standing on the right water, you make a right turn, and of course a left turn for the left water. It hasn't rained for roughly 4 weeks, so it's a little bumpy here. But as I told you, the landing gear is so tough. It's no problem at all. So as soon as we have some temperature on the cylinder heads, which you can see as we're in the green, I'm gonna open those cowl flaps on the front. So we have some nice warm air coming up to the cylinders and warming up the oil. So there is no QNH at this little airfield, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just setting the airfield elevation. And that's it. So we're taking off on runway 25, and 25 is already set. The instrument is not yet powered. I'm gonna do this pretty soon. So we have the nav lights here, we have the beacon to come on. Then we have the intercom, the VNF, we have the page converter and another converter, and one of them powers this instrument, the other one is for that, the gyro compass and the transponder. Now you can see this one's coming alive, as well as my artificial horizon, which is coming alive in a few seconds too. Turning on our VNF so anybody can hear us, even though we're in the middle of nowhere, and I pretty doubt it that there's anyone else out there right now. Just waiting for a bit of temperature. So as soon as the oil temperature is in the middle of the yellow arc, we're ready to do our power checks. In the meantime, just if you're curious about, I can tell you about some more instruments. So we have the power indicator here, we have the manifold pressure here, we have the air pressure here. On the left is the main system, and we have some emergency system which is activated with this knob. This is on the right. This is our attitude indicator. Yeah, these are the temperatures as I already shown you. This is our airspeed indicator. These are some warning lights. And this is our G meter. For those of you who don't know, this plane is fully aerobatic certified up to plus 7G and minus 5G, which is pretty much. I haven't seen 7G positive. Not yet. Okay, temperature is there, so I'm gonna, the brake is set, I'm gonna increase power to 70% and then test the max, and afterwards move the prop. So the reason why I'm moving the prop is, there's some few reasons. The first one is you want to get some hot oil or warm oil into the prop governor, because the oil there is cold and it's better to have some warm oil there. Then you're checking the manifold pressure, which should rise, and the oil pressure, which should also rise. So that's the reason why you're doing it 3 times. This absolutely looks fine. Now I'm checking the idle. Idle is fine too. Alright, vital actions, work left to right. The air is on. Electrics are on. The trim is set. Flaps are up. The prop is fine. Fuel valve is open. Lights are checked. Max are on 1+2. Instruments are all good. Fuel contents are plenty enough for now. The primer is neutral and locked. The shutters are open. The carpet is cold. The controls are free and correct. Harness is secure. The canopy is closed. Transponder on. Then we are ready for takeoff. So guys, this is how you do a Yak 52 startup, the full procedure. I hope you enjoyed it. Now we're ready to fly, and in the next video I'm gonna show you how to fly a Yak 52.
Driven hard in the clouds.